the Bronx culture is hip hop culture. So all this we like you French, who's all the we? I can sit here and say I built the pyramid. I ain't built. If you could say black people build hip hop, you didn't build. You looking at one of the guys that did it.
Hello again and welcome back to another one, and today we have a couple of topics to cover, from one that shows the debate is still on who is the biggest rapper from New York when it comes to international market penetration. And this debate was on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast with Tony Yayo, and it sparked some interesting reactions online as Eminem was also dragged into the debate. More on this in a moment. Today we also have more from one of hip-hop's pioneers, Melle Mel, and some of you remember when he had a run-in with Eminem a few years back that led to some classic hilarious moments. But this time around, he decided to join the Fat Joe versus El Jamar beef, and he went off on the likes of El Jamar, who believe people like Fat Joe don't qualify as hip-hop and shouldn't be allowed to use certain words. More on this in a moment, and we also have more from Lil Pump, who decided to mock Eminem for taking a political L a few hours ago. More on this later, and today we'll be starting with the debates from the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast about the biggest New York rapper internationally. Check out a snippet.
I believe G-Unit and 50, we set the blueprint for a lot of, bro.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that 50 is the biggest ever came out of New York?
I would say, I'm just going to say there's a lot of greats that came out of New York. He's one of the greats.
No, is he the biggest ever to come out of New York? The
I'm going to say this,
rapper.
I can't say that because there's a lot of rap. I could say Rakim is Big Daddy Kane.
Man, you can't say that. Hell no.
No, I could just say.
I'm gonna say 50.
Listen, okay, I'm gonna just say this.
I'm not saying that because
I'm saying that
from
what
I witnessed,
but 50
from going around the world with a
50's
nigga.
gonna take KRS-One.
Yeah, but he gonna say
let me
that,
just
right?
say something.
But I'm talking
Michael
about,
Jordan.
I'm talking about from what he did.
Nigga. We know Michael Jordan is better.
What we going on? Record sales?
Michael Jordan looked up to fucking Dr. J.
Now, Wallow, let me ask you a question.
We knew Mike was better.
Let me ask y'all a question.
What I'm saying is,
let me ask you a question.
That's what I'm talking about. Record sales.
What we basing it off of? Record sales?
Did anybody from New York sell more records than
biggest artist to come out of New York?
Nah, 50 sold, I think 11.
30 million worldwide.
Yeah, but his first album was what, 10 million?
He sold more records than Biggie.
And
Yeah, man, 13 million.
Yeah, record sales, 50 sold the most records. He's the biggest.
He sold more records and had more of a global
yeah.
impact than a lot of rappers.
And this sparked reactions like 50 Cent is not only the biggest rapper from New York, he's the second biggest rapper in the world after Eminem. I dare any rapper at his age do something like the Final Lap Tour. And yes, the Final Lap Tour was certainly an eye-opener for many younger hip-hop fans who had no idea of 50 Cent's global status, and I found a reaction to the point about Eminem being the biggest rapper hilarious, as the user expanded under this. Eminem is not the biggest rapper in the world, what the F, skull emoji. And they added, in the face of rap, the first person someone might think of is 100% not Eminem unless they are 50 and white or 12. And the roasting session began as users started to pull up receipts like, over decades the rapping god is still the most streamed international artist in Africa. And this was from 2020, I believe, and we covered this back then. And better yet, we've done an in-depth analysis on this that showed Eminem was in fact the biggest rapper of all time, not just globally, but also excluding the Western world, where it turns out he's still the biggest of all time. And after they got schooled, the goalpost started to move, as we've come to expect during these debates. Best-selling does not equate best. Becoming a radio rapper does not make him good. He's along with 2000s pop stars and has little variety. Take Drake for example. He's not the best rapper, but he makes club music, so he's always streamed.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Schmidt. Do you need help?
Now, we won't even entertain the ignorance in this post, but just remember, this whole conversation is literally about the biggest rapper to begin with, and I found this reaction hilarious. Let's be real, 50 is not having that global impact if it wasn't for M. It was just perfect timing for him, because he's from New York and was running around with the biggest artist in the world.
Also, do take into account that there's association with Dr. Dre and Eminem.
I mean, 50 Cent has credited his association to Eminem and Dre for decades. This is not news or a gotcha point to bring up, but since we are bringing up associates, remember Jay-Z has been associated to Beyonce since at least 2001. But is 50 Cent the biggest global rapper from New York? Here's what we know based on information accessible right now on the web. As far as we know, 50 Cent has earned at least one album certification in at least 16 countries, including tough markets like Japan. The Notorious B.I.G. has earned an album certification in at least 6 countries, and Jay-Z in at least 6 countries. Thoughts? And moving on, we got Melle Mel join the debate that's been heated that led to a beef between Fat Joe and El Jamar, as those in Fat Joe's corner believe Puerto Ricans contributed to hip-hop at the start, and those in El Jamar's corner believe Puerto Ricans had no contributions at the start and it was all foundational Black Americans. Well, first of all, Melle Mel had this to say about the origins of hip-hop. Check out a snippet from Melle Mel's Hip-Hop Corner.
They got this whole thing going on about who started hip-hop, whether Puerto Ricans or whether black people was the backbone of the culture. Now, hip-hop is Bronx culture. All the shit that made hip-hop, the building blocks of hip-hop, it was formed in the Bronx. The first popular DJs, DJ Kool Herc. The first turntables, Flash. The first guy to do the scratch, Grand Wizard Theodore. The first MC, you're looking at him. I was born and raised in the Bronx. The Bronx culture is hip hop culture. So all this we shit, like you French, who's all the we?
We? We.
First of all, whoever's speaking about that, you wasn't even there. I'm there. I'm 16, 17 years old. I'm looking at Herc and them. If you want to talk about hip-hop culture and have it being beneficial for somebody, then why ain't he supposed to benefit Herc? Why you can't ask Cass or somebody? Ask somebody that was there. You're just going to take it upon yourself. Oh, yeah, well, you know, so-and-so started the culture. This whole conversation is supposed to benefit the true founders and builders of hip-hop, but you never even asked. Did you ask Herc? Did you ask Biggs? Or did you ask Flash? Well, yo, Flash, what do you think about? Oh yeah, foundational Black Americans. We was Afro-Americans probably back then. We wasn't even. It was no foundational Black Americans. The people wasn't behind hip hop other than the people that went to the jams in the Bronx. The point that you're trying to make is pointless because first you wasn't there. It was only Bronx cats in the very beginning. All this hip hop culture is really Bronx culture. Is not a thing to be divided. We got to put all that on the back page. Who's Puerto Rican, who's black, that's not the issue. Glory is supposed to go to the creators. I can sit here and say, I built the pyramid, and Hotep and them built the pyramid. I ain't built shit. If you could say black people build hip hop, you didn't build shit. You looking at one of the guys that did it.
But Melle Mel had more to add about Fat Joe's position, and he directly referenced this interview from My Expert Opinion.
Let's start by this. These rumors were made by radical Black racists. Their job is to criticize anybody who don't look like them or who ain't Black American.
Who are these guys?
FBA, Foundational Black Authority, whoever the these broke niggas is. They trying to change the narrative. They're not from New York. So they telling a whole nother story. We got a fucking Looney Tune, like your man Lord Jamar, who's a fucking Looney Tune. Okay, he's a loony bin. A guy who, he was a legend, he's brand Nubian, and he's the wackest nigga in the crew, be clear. Now, this nigga might be like trying to get lit, trying to say anything to go viral. What I'm trying to tell you is that this opinion comes from a tribe. It comes from a group of people that hate everybody but them.
And Melle Mel had this to add.
What do we do about Fat Joe? And the answer is not a thing. You do the same thing that when he said that did when he said it around. Cause now, you can like Joe, you cannot like Joe. Joe's a Bronx. Joe ain't no outsider. He's a Bronx nigga. Like I said, anybody could say something you don't agree with. We men. All that internet. Oh yeah, you're gonna pass around a petition. You know, like what the f you gonna send him to Guatemala or something. You're gonna send them to Guantanamo Bay or something. You know, anybody got an opinion. See, really, I don't really have a dog in the fight. I know I was there. I know everybody else that's talking about it wasn't there. But the thing, as far as that personalized it for me, was that I read, and it was in one, and they called Joe a white Puerto Rican. I don't know about all that. He's Puerto Rican. What do we do about Fat Joe? The same, like I said, the same thing that you did, or that the guys did when he said what he said around them. You do the same thing that they did. Not a thing. He said what he said. You agree with it? You don't agree with it? Joe's a Bronx nigga. That's my nigga.
And boy, some users came for Melle Mel over this. So falsified to the core. Bronx did not create hip-hop. It was started by Black Americans in particular. People need to learn to give credit where it's due. Melle Mel is clearly of the opinion that if you weren't there doing the creating, then you deserve no credit for its creation. So pretty much anyone under like 60 years old who wasn't an active participant in the Bronx at the time gets no credit for creating hip-hop. And in response to the user giving every Black American credit, some users have fired back with, "You're listening to a guy who was there, and you still say this? Shake my head." And more, "You weren't even there, internet nerd." Melle Mel was. And guess who wasn't also there? Jamar. And on a side note, I've noticed that people love to latch on to group identity to claim accomplishments and innovations.
Like, oh, you know, we Germans created the automobile.
And Melle Mel's line of thinking is, who is we? Last I checked, you're not Carl Benz, and you weren't there either. This is pretty much Melle Mel's argument. The Carl Benzes of the world are the only people who deserve the glory. Do you agree with Melle Mel? And moving on, we got Lil Pump out here clowning Eminem over the political L those in M's corner took recently. Check it out from Lil Pump's IG stories.
I'm on the way to DC to go to the inauguration, baby. The fucking good. We don't fucking walk around the airport, dude. You crazy? You crazy, dude? If you go to DC and start fucking protesting, you're a fucking no-life, you're a bum, and take your bum ass back home, baby. Because the president's back. Eminem, how do you feel, buddy? Kamala lost, the Lions lost, and you lost in life. And you lost in life.
Yo, this guy.
And of course, this sparked reactions like, he turned from garbage rapper who had a hot run to irrelevant president-elect supporter clout chaser. I bet MAGA who know him don't even know he's a rapper. And while some users added, man, bro, the last time this dude picked a beef with another rapper, he got humbled. And it wasn't even over the pen. Cole sat him down after feeding him advice on his KOD album. Cole didn't even do much either, so now imagine what Marshall Mathers could do. And the funny thing is, Lil Pump's career has been over for some time now, so even if Eminem wanted to, M has got nothing to end in this situation. It has been over for Lil Pump. And it seems like Lil Pump saw many users point this out, as hours later he posted this about how he doesn't need rap. Check it out.
One thing about me, I don't ever gotta drop music again. I'm still up, alive. That's why I drop music and I disappear for a reason. Because I don't need it. But you know what? I still do music because I love y'all.
Obviously, we could use some coping strategies.
But over to you guys. Share your thoughts below. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.